It's the Don't Call Me the Rocket Mortgage Classic because it's just the Rocket Classic. I had no idea. We got lots to talk about this week as we are in Detroit for the Rocket Classic, and we got a recap. Oops, there's my mic. I was trying to mess some things up there. We got to recap last week's event, and not Keegan Bradley's big win, but Tommy Ladd. And we're going to talk about it, guys. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter, guys. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the STT Sports Network YouTube page. And, of course, vote on our poll. Today's poll, what will the winning score of the Rocket Classic be? There's a couple options on there, so make sure you vote, like, share, subscribe, bring your comments and your thoughts. We got lots to talk about, and we are going to get to the Rocket Classic in Detroit in just a little bit, but first we got to recap last week's event. Of course, obviously, a huge victory for Keegan Bradley, but the story really coming out of last week isn't Stephen hitting Keegan Bradley for his 400th outright of the year. The real story is Tommy Ladd, Tommy Fleetwood, blowing another event, another league going to the final round, not being able to seal the deal. Jason, we're going to start with you with this one. I'm going to ask the question. Was that Tommy Fleetwood's last chance to win a championship on the PGA Tour?
Yes, I really think it is. I mean, he played so well on Saturday. I mean, he looked like he was in cruise control. And, like, probably for Tommy, a 4-shot lead or whatever he had going into Sunday is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen. And it's not that often on the tour that, like, I feel genuinely bad for the guy that comes in second, but, like, I felt horrible for him. He's always so classy. He always waits for everybody else when they win and everything like that. Like, I mean, he choked. I saw so many comments going around about, like, you know, Henley is gutless and so-and-so is gutless. And it's like, I hate to say it because he's such a nice dude, but there's not a more gutless golfer on the planet than Tommy Fleetwood right now, which sucks.
It does. I mean, the question is, will he ever win? I mean, there's plenty of chances. And his outlook after the event, I know he kind of teared up. I know he got a little upset. Yeah. But he said the right things. Like, look, I'm not going to let this, change how I go about my approach, blah, blah. He said all the right things, Steven. Like, no offense, Steven. I know you hit the outright, and I know you're dominating in the outright market. But to an extent, if I was in your shoes, I would have almost been okay losing just so Fleetwood could have gotten that win, because it seems like something that I don't know what's happening.
It would have felt like a win-win because how many weeks have we been saying, Fleetwood, this course fits him. Is he going to be the next guy that's going to finally, break through and win? And Keegan gave him every opportunity, especially on that back nine. I mean, he bogeyed a few. He would bounce right back. But, I mean, he really opened the door for Fleetwood to really win this. And like Jason said, he had a big lead. He had, 3-shot lead heading into, was it 4?
3 or 4.
But you can't tell me this one might hurt the most, right? Because it's not even like it went to a playoff. You saw all the videos afterwards of it hitting like a pebble or something, and it just bounced. It was crazy, but it's going to be in the back of your head. It's going to haunt him.
You know what's funny? I saw somebody, I forget who said it. I was listening to a podcast and somebody said he's right where he always is. He backdoored to top 5. Perfect. It's like, that's
Charles Barkley of golf.
Yeah,
the wrong kind of backdooring of a top 5 that time. There's the thing, like, I have bet you, Jason. You know this, for years I've been betting Tommy Fleetwood to win, and I'm sitting there on Saturday night building my showdown lineups, and it didn't even there was 0 chance that I was putting him and not somebody in second. Like, my showdown lineup had Keegan Bradley in it because I know he can't close the door. And it's like I just keep thinking the mental, and I know he said all the right things. You could see the emotion like at some point a golfer's got to break a little bit, don't they? Like, don't you feel like that there's some point there's going to be a tipping point where I know there's months, years of his career left where he could still win, but at some point he's just going to say, maybe enough's enough. Maybe he needs to go back and just play on the DP tour where he's got wins, or maybe he's a guy that needs to go to live to get a win in his career. Since, I mean, how long has it been since he won on the DP tour? It's been years, right?
Yeah. It's weird too, because it's a different result than I think if he, like, say he went out and he shot 5 under for the day, and Keegan was just better, and Keegan shot 7 under, 8 under, whatever. It's like, man, you just kind of tip your hat, like, dude, I was good, but you were awesome. Like, it's like, no, you shot +2 in the final round. Like, you literally choked away the lead and choked away the entire tournament. And Keegan played well, but like, I mean, that was Tommy's to blow, and he blew it.
What's next for him, Steven? Does he find a way? Like, I mean, you can't bet him anymore. Like, there is no argument. Like, if he ever wins a PGA Tour event, and you see the tip check guy that posts all the accounts, all the gambling accounts that share the ticket, there better be no name that actually bet him when he wins that first event, because there's no reason or no way you can play him in DFS if his ownership's low enough, whatever. He's always finishing the top 10 or 20 in events. There's literally no market for betting Tommy Fleetwood anymore, is there?
No, because it's not like he's a bad golfer. He just can't finish, right? So his odds are always going to be up there with the top of the board on the board. And what's crazy to think is you have a golfer like Rory, right, who has completed the golf dream, right, the Grand Slam, and he's like, I can't find the motivation to play anymore because I've done it all. Yeah. Versus a guy who is probably finding them hard to find the motivation because he can't win it, and he just wants to win a tournament on American soil in PGA. So it's wild. I like the live idea though.
He's a great 3-round golfer. I always call myself a 12-hole golfer. Like, I'm great for 12 holes and my body breaks down. Tommy Fleetwood is a great 3-round golfer. He can't win in the 4th round. So maybe live is the right answer for him. I don't know, and I don't want him to go to live. I do enjoy watching him play golf. But, man, I could not imagine failing at something as many times as he has. And we're not talking about events that he wasn't in contention. The amount of times he's been in second place or had a lead in a 4th round of an event and failed. I mean, the number is so huge. I couldn't fathom the mental anguish he's going through.
Well, and on that approach shot, he switched clubs. He obviously picked the wrong club. But I don't know if you guys noticed, like, the wind picked up big time right before he was about to hit his shot. It's like, man, that kind of sucks too. It's like, just like everything against you. You're already struggling against yourself. You're second guessing your clubs. And all of a sudden you can see the flagstick, like, blowing in the wind. You're like, holy crap. And then Keegan goes and it's dead silent and dead.
And on top of it, he was the villain technically because Keegan was the home crowd favorite.
Yep.
Everybody was rooting for Keegan. So people were rooting. Like, he has failed so many times, but everybody was rooting from the fail in that moment.
Well, and the last time it happened was in Canada against Nick Taylor. Remember that? It was, I think it was 23. It's like everybody wanted Canada to win, and now everybody was chanting USA. It's like, I just feel so bad for this guy.
All right, but obviously Keegan Bradley won the event. And it bumped them up. And again, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago how shocked we were that Mav McNeely was the number 11 ranked golfer in the world. With the win, Keegan Bradley is now 7th in the world golf rankings. It's kind of crazy. And I saw somebody tweet out, well, it's only because the live golfers are falling down the port. But realistically, what would that bump them down to 10 or 11? So the question now with that win is obviously with the Ryder Cup, should Keegan Bradley put himself on the Ryder Cup team? I think he's just outside the points now. I think he's like eighth spot. So he would have to pick himself to be on the team. Steven, should Keegan Bradley be a part of the Ryder Cup?
Hell yeah. I mean, why not pick yourself? If you're playing like this, it's justified, right? You have a win. You what? He's got a T7 at Memorial, T8 at the PGA Championship, Arnold Palmer T5. So it's not like this was just recent. It's throughout the whole season, up to date. He's played well, and hell yeah, I'd put myself on the team. Let's go.
At least one win each of the last 4 years. The Travelers, the BMW last year, the Travelers the year before that, and the Zozo before that. So it's not like this is his first win in 10 years.
No, I think he's into. I think he's just he's going to keep playing and keep grinding too, because he wants to automatically qualify to take anything out of it, which, so there won't be any, bad thing. I don't know. It's like now it becomes
Controversy.
now it becomes the story of, does he still remain the playing captain, or does he kind of relinquish some power to, I'm guessing he's just going to have his assistants take on more. I would imagine.
Say that, how much of his role would be hurt? I saw somebody trying to break it down that he doesn't have to play every day of the Ryder Cup. He could do 1-2 with Bryson, then do Sunday singles, and that's about it. Maybe that's the case, or what he does with himself.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Steven.
I was just pointing to the red polo and saying, this needs to be the captain forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good story. Keegan, we talk about it all the time, Jason, for years on this show. The different golfers on the PGA Tour that are, I don't want to say villains, but kind of D-bags. And Keegan Bradley, a couple of years ago,
he was the worst.
One of those fools. Nobody liked Keegan when he won his major championship. Geez, it was 10 years ago, right? It was a long time ago. Nobody liked the guy. He was not loved at all. And now you look around, the crowds cheer for him. The other golfers like him. Maybe he matured a little bit. Maybe having a family group made him grow up a little bit. But Keegan's personality and Keegan's reputation has definitely done a complete 360 over the last couple of years.
Including me. I wasn't that big of a Keegan fan. And within the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, I've really turned it around. Who was it that he got an argument with because they told his caddy to shut up a few years ago?
I remember it, but I don't remember who it was.
Wasn't it Angel? Wasn't it?
The Spanish golfer with the long hair, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he that was pretty heated, right?
He also won this past weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What way to revisit the story.
Yeah. So with Keegan, it's a great way to segue into this week. We are in Detroit for the Detroit Golf Club at the Rocket Classic. As a guy that my mortgage has been sold 19 times in the 18 months I've been here to different mortgage companies. I didn't even know Rocket Mortgage was now just Rocket. So it's the Rocket Classic. Yeah, Miguel Angel Jimenez. And if you haven't seen it, go look at the video of him getting on his private jet after winning. Yeah. And the dance moves he was dropping and all the people high-fiving him. That dude still parties at his age. That dude still is a very entertaining personality. I love watching him play golf, and I love watching him, off the golf course. But we're at Detroit Golf Club Rocket Classic here. A birdie course dream. This is an event that we've seen 25 under win this event. I mean, we have seen 18 under the 2 times Cam Davis has won, but most of this time it's over 20 under par that wins this event. So, Jason, as the resident Motor City guy there, the guy that, is in Detroit, what is Detroit Golf Club? What are the golfers going to look at, and why is it such an easy track?
Well, it's been open since the 1800s, which is wild to me. It's obviously gone some renovations and everything like that, and it sounds like it's going to go through a restoration after this event. But you have 7,370 yards, par 72, bet POA mix again on the greens, mostly POA from what they're saying. Water's only on one hole. The rough isn't long. There's basically no penalties at all. They have tree line fairways, but they've taken out a lot of the trees already, is what people are saying, because they're preparing for the restoration for next year. So smaller than average greens, not a lot of trouble at all. So you're just going to have to basically hit the greens in regulation, which the percentage is way up here, and then you're going to have to make some putts, which they say these greens are really, really tricky to putt on. So it'll be interesting, but it usually turns into a putting contest with little trouble on the course. And little interesting tidbit. So you're going to have to make birdies, like you said, in the Open. But the last 6 winners here have made at least 23 birdies. So
wow,
you're going to have to make lots of birdies.
So here's my question, because I don't understand this. And Rashad, I mean, you would think that Jason would go on the course and do a video for the show. He's just not committed, He's just not committed for that. But here's the thing, you got 4-inch thick rough, you got very small greens, but yet missing the fairway isn't a problem. And I think I read, was it last year, 80% of greens were hitting regulation by the overall, the whole tournament. So thick rough that if you hit into is not penalized, and small greens that everyone's hitting. Every year we come to this event, and every year it just doesn't compute why it's like that.
Flattest course on the tour too. It's just, there's nothing special about this course, which is why I have no interest in going. But we do have a home game. The U.S. Open is going to be here in it's 2033. So when we're still doing fairway,
That's why they're probably remodeling the course a little bit if they're going to put a U.S. Open.
No, not at this course. I'm talking about in Michigan. It's at Oakland Hills. So yeah.
Gotcha. Steven, do you have anything to add about this course, or why it's so easy, or what you're looking at golfer wise? Statistically speaking.
I was just going to add that because of the course being so flat, I think that is what helps if you don't hit it on the fairway, right? If you're in the rough, because of it being so flat, it just helps. Proximity from 75 to 125 for these bombers. This is bomber's paradise, and you don't have to be too accurate because there's not much penalty here. So and then like what Jason was saying with the trees not being there because they're getting ready to remodel and everything, you could just be on a different fairway, hitting. If so, there's not much. You got to capitalize on the par fives because they're gettable. So, it's not just a birdie, birdies that you're looking for. You want to look for, I feel like, golfers who are strong on those short par fives and can get eagles.
Absolutely. All right. So obviously with the elevated, elevated event schedule, and we've had 6 of the last 8 events have been either elevated events or majors. It's obviously a weaker field this week. Obviously, and not a lot of big names are teeing it up this week. Obviously, so the top of the board is Colin Morikawa at 10-9, Keegan Bradley, which I'm kind of shocked Keegan didn't withdraw, but Keegan's not that kind of guy because, like Jason said, he's trying to grind it out. And you got Patrick Cantlay at 10-2. They're your only guys in the top. I mean, you've got some big names. I guess Sword 20 Finau just withdrew. Rickie Fowler's won here before. You got a couple former major champions and Wyndham Clark and stuff like that, Matthew Fitzpatrick. But it is not a who's who. Jason, do you think that are you okay with the event being placed on the calendar when it is, which kind of takes away any star power from ever going there?
It does. I was surprised though this week how, some of the big names playing. It's obviously not a great field, but I was surprised to see Morikawa, Cantlay, those guys playing this week. Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I think this is probably as good of a field as you can wish for in this event, especially because of the placement. You're going to be going in a couple of weeks. You're going to be going over to Scotland, so it's a weird time. It's after the elevated events, right before a major, going overseas. So it's a weird time. I think this is probably as good of a field as you're going to see at this event ever, probably.
All right. Well, let's start the top of the board. Obviously, Colin Morikawa. Should he even be the top-priced guy this week, Steven?
I think his reputation has allowed that in this field. I do think that Ben Griffin could have been in this 10K range at 10K. I think they made it a little bit easy to kind of start your build, skip this whole range and start your build in the 9K range. But I think he's earned it just off of reputation for that 10-9.
Yeah, the 6K range is very bleak in my opinion this week. You got a lot of guys making their pro debuts this week. You got a lot. This is the time of the year where amateurs are finished their college, season. They turn pro or give it a crack on the PGA Tour. Luke Clanton did it last year. So it makes it very hard. So Ben Griffin, though, Jason, am I crazy to say, because we can include him in the top 4 here, is it crazy to say that Ben Griffin will be the highest owned golfer this week?
No, I think he will be.
Hands down the top guy this week.
Yeah, no, I think he will be too. Which rightfully so. He's been good on so many courses. He used to be the short course guy that used to, you only played him on accuracy courses. He's competing at majors now, which is really weird. But I don't know, something about those aviators. He's locked in now. But no, I think you're definitely right. I think they did misprice him. I think 10-2 maybe would have been a more accurate price for him, which would have made things a little more interesting. Now I think most people are just going to skip the 10K range, especially with so many questions going into it, and just do the balanced builds, which makes me think it's actually contrarian to maybe go stars and scrubs this week, which is weird. But
we'll get to the 6K range. Maybe you can find a few guys that you could do with it. I think, because I'm going to keep Ben Griffin, because Steve, you brought him up. I'm going to keep him in the conversation here with the 10Ks. I would rather eat chalk. If Ben Griffin gets to 25, 28%, I'd rather go Ben Griffin this week with the consistency than go with a Colin Morikawa or Keegan Bradley coming off a big win like that. Am I crazy, Jason, for saying I'd rather find somewhere else to differentiate myself? He's not Scottie Scheffler, but he's the Scottie Scheffler of this field, in my opinion.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking too, is that, there's it's such a heavy 7K range that I think you could find those guys. If you're going to start off with Cam Young, I think a lot of people are going to do Griffin, Cam Young. You're going to have to you can't play the chalk guys in the 7Ks. You're going to have to play these lesser named guys. And I think, I don't know, it's a little scary to look at Ben Griffin's number to be between 20 and 25. It's probably even more scary to see Cam Young at like 28%. But that's kind of what we're living. The only thing that worries me a little bit with Ben Griffin, and I know he always does this, he always plays a ton. He's played 8 out of 9 weeks. Like, that's a lot of golf.
Absolutely. Steven, go ahead.
And I will say Morikawa, depending on how many lineups you're playing. If you're going to play a crap load of lineups, I would say have Morikawa in some of that, just because I think, like what Jason said and you said, this 10K range is going to be completely faded a lot. And Morikawa only really plays signature events and major events, right? And I read that he has switched the putter up. So him playing in this tournament tells me he's just playing in this tournament to try and find something, right? Let me, on a birdie fest, let me really test this putter out. He's going to make the cut, right? So if you play him, you better hope he wins, right? In those few lineups, if you have a crap load of lineups. But the only person that rivals Ben Griffin in the last, 2 months is Scottie. So, eat the chalk, like you said, with Ben.
I will say this, Jason, I'll let you go in a second. I just clicked on Collin Morikawa's name on a DraftKings lineup. If you start your lineup with Collin Morikawa, you still have over $7,800 available. And you could go Collin Morikawa and Cam Young at 9,300, and you still got 7,450. So maybe going contrarian with like a Collin Morikawa or a Keegan or a Patrick Cantlay isn't as crazy as it sounds, because the price is so cheap at the top.
I think people are onto that, though. I think we're seeing his ownership's already up to 18%, they're saying now. So I feel like people might be onto it. I just worry about his, like what Steve just said, is that he's trying to find a putter. He also, from apparently reports this week, has been tinkering with playing with a glove on and a glove off. Like, people that are locked in don't do that. It's like a batter being in a slump and being like, all right, I'm not going to use batting gloves today. Like, I'm going to go. It's like, that's usually not a good thing when that happens. And the putter, being so bad. A couple of weeks ago at the U.S. Open, he gained like 16 strokes tee to green and lost 9 on the greens. Like, he has been awful, doesn't even describe it on the greens, and then also tinkering and not feeling comfortable in other parts of his game makes me a little bit nervous.
I like that. All right, let's look at this 9K range. Obviously, we've talked about Ben Griffin. Hideki's in here. Cam Young. You've got Harry Hall, Siwoo Kim, Max Gracerman, and Luke Clinton. So, Steven, 9K range outside of Ben Griffin. What are you looking at? Who do you like in this range?
Like everyone else, Cam Young's one of them. But my big one that I like, and I bet him as well, is Luke Clinton. This is the first event that he has history to look back on. He knows the course. T10 last year. He gained in everything except around the green last year. And I feel like this is a field where a guy like him who just got his card, there's going to be tons of other guys, like you mentioned, the college guys are getting to play in these events the next few weeks. He can bomb it. He's pretty accurate. He can spike on the with his putter, and he's good on par fives. So I like where he's at. He's probably going to be pretty chalky because he's 9K, but he's my favorite besides Ben.
Jason,
can I give you the anti Luke Clinton argument?
No.
Is that
no?
I can't.
No, you're not allowed to. No.
2 weeks in a row, he's lost off the tee, which is his biggest weapon, and so I worry about that a little bit. This does seem like the event that I do have a feeling. Yeah, this is the kind of event he's going to win for the first time. I was hoping his odds would be a little better and his DK price would be a little bit better, but he's got so much hype that it makes sense. I think I just worry that his off the tee game is not where it needs to be. I like Gracerman way better, actually, to be honest with you. And I think his question marks too. Like, he's normally like the bomb it and putt guy, and all of a sudden he can't putt for the past like 3 or 4 events. So I worry a little bit about him. I think there's some question marks on him too. But I think I almost kind of think with the ownership in this range that I don't know if you could play both Cam Young and Griffin. I think that might be a mistake. So I think maybe planting your flag on one of those guys and maybe pivoting off of the other one, I think is a good question, because I think at least one of those guys misses the cut this week.
Well, you think one of those missed the cut this week? Oh wow, that's a bold prediction.
Whoa.
And I don't know which one.
I built 3 lineups so far, and I've got Griffin in 2 of them and Cam Young in 2 of them. One they're duped up in, and then one in separate ones with each of them. I like Harry Hall in this range.
Yeah.
I know also another guy that's going to be a little, he's right now 16, 17%. But over his last 36 rounds, in this field, he's 4th in making birdies, and he's the 3rd best putter. And he's almost a top 20 on the good drives gained, which takes into account, hitting the fairway, or just barely missing the fairway and getting to the green. I think Harry Hall's a guy that in a weak field could put up 20, what did you say, Jason? 23 birdies or something like
23.
that?
Yeah, 23, yeah.
I could see Harry Hall dropping 20 birdies this week without a problem.
He's been pretty good tee to green too. Like you don't typically see him as good as he's been tee to green for the past 5 or so weeks too. So I like that play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if he could win the event, Harry Hall, but I kind of feel like a top 5 or top 10 is well within the range for Harry Hall this week, and I like him at that price point there as well.
It's a weird range because I feel like all these guys, like they're really good plays, and like Harry Hall and Cam Young and all these guys, but it's like, do you really see them winning? Which is, I know that's everybody in this field pretty much except for the top guys, but it's just a weird dynamic.
This is definitely one of those events where, if you look at 6 bets, 3 of them were 80 to 1 or longer. This is definitely an event where somebody can win for the first time.
Yeah.
Or definitely an event that, a long shot could win this event. It wouldn't shock anybody.
No.
All right, so
these next 2 weeks really are like that, which is why I love these next 2 weeks. It's a good break from the grind
Scottie
that
show.
there's been with signature events and majors and everything. So I like these next 2 weeks.
Talking about a guy getting his first win in that 9K range, Cam Young, it could be he can finally break the sign and get a win there, Cam Young.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
I would like to say it. 8K range, obviously the top name in the 8K range, Tony Finau withdrew from the event. So that leaves Keith Mitchell at the top of the board. You got former champion Rickie Fowler. You got a couple major champions in Wyndham Clark and Matt Fitzpatrick. Pataya, a couple names in this range that really intrigue me. Jason, we'll start with you though. What would be your first click in this range?
Fitzpatrick. I think he's starting to find something. He's starting to putt a lot better. He's second in the field, 200 plus, which you're going to have a lot of shots, 225 plus here. So Fitzpatrick's definitely my favorite now that he's figured out the short game a little bit. I think that's an easy one for me. And then I think an interesting one for me, and it's a guy that I absolutely despise, but I feel like he's a really good play this week, is Wyndham Clark. Before he became major winner Wyndham Clark, this was the kind of event he was built for. Like the driving, when you didn't have to be accurate, you could just bomb it and then putting. And that's what, I remember specifically playing him 2-3 years ago here and thinking how great of a course fit it was. So I'm going to be going back to Windy. And then
was Wyndham Clark last week or 2 weeks ago at the U.S. Open where he had one really, really good round? It was 6 or 7 under.
I think it was last week, wasn't it?
Last week.
He was near or at the leaderboard, top of the leaderboard after the first or second round because he shot, 64 or 65. So maybe Wyndham Clark's on to something. I thought about Wyndham Clark. I couldn't get on him, but, I thought about him there. Steven, where are you at in this range?
I like the Clark. Just he's going to be low ownership because people are instantly going to be biased, and the douchebag part of him, they're just going to not even pick him. But I like Minwoo, right? So T2 at this event last year, and he's good on courses where there's a low missed fairway penalty, right? And I don't want to take too much up because I see you got some more to add. But it's a course where
all my notes on Minwoo right here,
it's a course where he hasn't been good really at all since his win. But what better of a course that's flat, not many penalties. It's not like he's a bad golfer. He can bomb it. He's aggressive. So, I like him this week. I'll let you.
No, you said everything I've got to say on him, but basically I was putting him in there because his ownership is also going to be super low. If you're going to go 25% Ben Griffin, and then you counter that with Minwoo Lee at 6 or 8%, now we're talking. Ownership balance there in a lineup. So I love him. I also like, the other guy that was tied for second last year, Akshay Pattaya, a little bit more chalkier in this range. And honestly, I'm not sure with the lack of name star power. I'm kind of shocked at the ownership of Rickie Fowler. Right now, between 9 and 13%, somewhere in that range, with no like real big names in this event, I'm kind of shocked. And Jason, do you think maybe Rickie Fowler, because of that, maybe that ownership creeps up a little higher, or do you think he's going to stay in that like 8 to 12% range?
No, I think he's going to stay there because I think you're going to have a lot of guys going up to Clanton and Grayson and those guys. So I think he's going to stay there. He's been pretty – I mean, he hasn't played bad lately. I mean, T36 last week, but before that, T7 at the Memorial and T16 at the Charles Schwab. Like, he hasn't been good. He's won here. I mean, he hasn't been bad. He won here, what was that, 2 years ago? I mean, so I think it's worth a pivot, especially if his ownership stays low.
Yeah. No, I think in the 8K range, to me, it's Fowler, Minwoo, and Pattaya. They're the three best plays in this range, in my opinion. But I like your Matthew Fitzpatrick point. I think that's I'll also throw another name. Makes a ton of birdies, a really good approach player, really good on the short proximity, makes a lot of birdies on par fives as well. Horrible putter overall, but Davis Thompson is kind of a name, and I did
T2 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Davis Thompson, he hasn't had a great season this year, and his putter has just been atrocious. But I don't know, something about Davis Thompson in his field, I think is a strong play. I just wish his ownership was a little lower than 18-19%.
I think him, Pattaya, and then who was right below him, Smalley. Like, I was hoping that at least one of those guys would be a little less chalky.
Smalley's another guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the 7K range, and we can obviously start with the top name in the 7,900, which is just all. I don't even say his name. I just put my hand out, right?
Thor?
No, not making the joke anymore. Is my joke not funny anymore? Thor is obviously at 7,900. But if you're
never know which one you do it for, Michael or actual first name Thor.
I don't know. I mix it up. Whenever I just see Thor, I just do it.
Both.
Which is kind of funny because I think Thor is my least favorite superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's another whole subject, though. But a lot of good names here. You got Thor Olsen, Kevin Yu, who's someone that was on last week.
Kevin Yu's out.
What's that?
Kevin Yu WD'd, so he's out.
Oh, did he? I missed that one. Okay, let's unstar him from my list then. I did not see him WD yet. There's a lot of names in this range. One name that's in this range, I'm not playing him yet this week, but I think he's a fantastic follow on social media, and that's Michael Kim. The guy puts out a lot of great content about his weekly process and what's going on and the food at the events and all the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I love Michael Kim, and I want Michael Kim to get back into his contending ways from earlier this season. But, Jason, give me a couple names in this 7K range that you're really into.
This range is loaded, I think. I think there's a lot of really good plays
This
in
is
this
the range where if you want to stay away from the 6,
yeah,
you do it by finding the right guys in this range.
Taylor Moore's going to be a little bit chalky, I think. I'm seeing about 10%. I was thinking that would actually be like 15, though. His course history is just awesome. Steve and I were talking yesterday. Like, he comes in this event playing like shit every year, and every year he comes in with the top 10. He's done it like the past 3 years in a row. So Taylor Moore's my favorite. The other one is Noren in this range. I just feel like he's got good course history here. He's a guy that is coming back from injury, so it takes a little bit of time to roll. But I think like if he gets it rolling with the putter a little bit, I could see him winning. So those are my two favorites.
Steven?
Taylor Moore. And I love Jesper Svensson for being a bomber and the putter combo. And everyone's catching on to him. He was on the most tips. I think he was like one of the last guys. Emiliano Grillo. He's a top 25 beast, and I'm so happy everyone's on him. And I'm not going to bet him, but I'm going to play him. I'm not going to bet him this week. But those guys, and Steven Yeager, another guy who has good course history. But I feel like he might be pretty chalky because he was up there too on the most tips.
So you know how we always talk about Scottie? Like, what's the number that's too high? For Grillo, for you, what's the number of ownership that's too high for you?
It's too high for me this week,
Me too.
Yeah, this week. I don't like him in the 7, like the high 7s, like where he's at. I don't like him above 7.5. When he's below 7.5, I feel like he's off of everyone's radar. You're not going to play him. But this week, these next 2 weeks, it might be a little too high for me for Emiliano.
45%.
Ooh, no. 37.
All right, I'm going to throw a couple more names your way, guys. Rio. I still can't say his last name. Hisastune or whatever. I bet him. I like him a lot this week. Jake Knapp, I think, could contend here. Victor Perez is another name I like. But a sneaky name. I wouldn't use him in DraftKings, although he's only got like a 2 to 3% ownership. He's been terrible this year. Obviously, he's spiked around here or there, but Max Homa. Kind of feel like he's not a birdie getter. He's more of a grinder course guy. But if you need a guy to balance out a lineup, and what is he, 73? 7,300?
73.
7,300. Solid putter. Formerly one of the great players in the world of golf. Did not get into the U.S. Open, so he's pissed off. He needs something to get into the Open Championship, in a couple weeks. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if I would put him in a DraftKings lineup. I'm telling you, 84 to 1. I bet that. I saw 84 to 1. I'm like, all right, we're going to throw a couple pennies at that because I think you can do worse with your money than that.
See, I'd much rather go with Cameron Davis, who just seems – is another guy that just comes to this event and plays well. He's won 2 of the last 4 years at this event, so I'd rather just take my chances with somebody like that. I know
the last 3 times he played here, 21 through 23. Went 25th, 24th, 21st. So he's a top 25 machine. And again, right now, Max Homa is sitting at between 2.5% and 5%. I mean, I don't know. I'm throwing the idea out there. I'm just throwing names. But I like Rio. Obviously, he's going to be a little chalk here. But I think Rio's a good player. All right. To really mess, if you really want to go stars and scrub, like Jason says, you got to dip your toes in the 6K water.
Oof.
Jason, how do you do it? How do you dip your toes into the 7K or 6K water?
I'm not even coming close to the 6K range this week. If I was going to, he's 7. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near the 6K. I think if I was going to go anywhere in this range, I would go either like Joel Damon or Gim, but I'm not going below 7.
Steven?
Oh, you guys know who I'm going to. And he's right there. He's right there at 6,900. And he's back. Matt Kuchar, right? He doesn't have to be long. He's only missed one cut in his last 10 starts, right? Really good from 100, 125. And then another guy, Adam Hadwin, right? Good, decent course history. He, like Taylor Moore, he just plays this course, well for whatever reason. T4 in 2020, T2 in 2023. So, but that's about it. Maybe John Pock too, because he seems to have good first rounds, and it carries him at least to make the cut and to be a top. He was at least top 30. The Charles Schwab and I think maybe was he in the Travelers? Was it the Travelers or which one was it that he was just in? But he's another name where you get desperate to go with in the 6.
All right, I'm gonna give you 3 names here because I don't think I'm gonna play the 6K range because I'm not going in the 10K range. But I'm going to give you 3 names I think that could be worth a shot, worth a look. Henrik Norlander, a great approach player, has made 4 of the 5 cuts here. He's made 5 of his last 6 cuts overall on the tour. Really good approach player, really good tee to green, better than average putter. I'm going to go Danny Walker at 6,700. Obviously had 6th place of the players. He'll make the cut potentially, makes a ton of birdies, but I don't know what his ceiling really is. I don't even know if his ceiling is top 25 or not. And I'm going to give you one other name here who's made the cut here. What is it?
Justin Lauer.
He won this event before, actually. Not doing well. He's made the cut. Won this event. Nate Lashley at 6,500.
I think he won the first one, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think
he
won the first one.
Yeah. He finished 25th here last year as well. I think he's projected at like 1% ownership. I think Nate Lashley is a name. If you really want to do, I was just messing around on DraftKings while you guys were talking. If you just go like Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, you're still over 7K left. Throw Luke Clanton in there. Now you need to throw. So you could do a stars and scrub with 3 guys 9K and above, and then you got to dip your toes in that water. And I think Nate Lashley, Henrik Norlander, and Walker are options, I guess.
I think going like I'm going to stop right at 7. I think Cam Champ just bombs it and can putt a little bit, and same thing with Steve's boy Putt Geyer, whatever his name is.
Cam Champ popped in one round in a recent event, right?
Yeah. He hits the ball a mile,
Uh,
and he could putt a little bit. So
Forget which
he didn't
event.
do anything else, though. But
I mean, Cam Champ used to be a lock for my Masters card every year
Oh, yeah.
for DFS. Because
Canadian Open.
yeah,
Canadian Open, yeah,
the Canadian,
top
yeah.
Canadian Open. That's
Hasn't played much.
No, I mean, he's played 3 events this year. He's got a 9th, a 15th, and a 16th.
Is he on Corn Ferry?
I'm about to look that up because that's kind of weird that he's only got 3
Yeah.
events. Give me a second.
I think when they were walking the course with him on the RBC Canadian Open, he was talking about he was dealing with like some personal stuff, and that's why he hadn't been golfing.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, guys, here we are, updated, sheet here. Jason won last week, so now we're at 8-8. Me and him, 4 for Steven, and 2 guest victories. 1 and done's. Jason's jumped out to a bigger lead now, 5.1 million. I got 4.5, and Steven's got just over 4. So this is where we're at for the yearly contest. So Jason, you won last week. You get to pick the lineup order.
After such a dominating performance last week, I'm going to let Steven go first. Phil's going to go second, and Jason's going to go third.
All right, Steven, you are on the clock.
Steve deserved to go first.
I will go. Since chalk doesn't matter, I'm going to go Griffin.
Okay. I'm going to start right out with Rickie Fowler here.
Rickie Fowler. Wow. I'm going to go Cantlay and Cam Champ.
All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal one from him. I'm going to take Emiliano Grillo.
No.
Oh, no.
And,
Maybe 20 bucks.
And Aaron Rye's not even in the field for me to come back and hit you where it hurts. Damn it. All right. I'm going to go Taylor Moore and Jaeger.
I hate being in the middle. It's like one at a time. I like being on the top or bottom of the board where I can pick 2. We'll go Minwoo.
Oh, nice.
We're going extremely balanced here to start.
I'm going to go with Cam Young. And then I'm going to go with a guy that we didn't talk about much on the show. Actually, we didn't talk about him at all. I'm going to go Benny Young.
He's a bomber who can get hot with the putter.
Exactly.
I thought you said home at first. I was like, ouch.
We'll go Rio with my next pick right there.
All right. I'm going to go with Jesper Svensson. And
he's the Jesper. Jesper.
Yeah. And Jake Knapp.
I'd like to see Jake Knapp get back to playing good golf again. All right. We're going to go with 1-9K name. We'll go Harry Hall.
Harry. I'm going to go with Fitz. And then I'm going to go with Chris Kirk.
Kirk was an original star name. He didn't make my final list, but I do like Chris Kirk. Give me a second. I'm just trying to check something here. All right. My final pick is going to be Davis Thompson.
And my final pick will be Clanton.
We went really, really deep with some really, really big stretches there with our lineup builds this week. I mean, their most obvious picks there are really right there.
I think this is the week, though, where you can find that this week and next week. So,
all right. So 1 and done's. Who's on the clock with 1 and done's? Is it still Steven?
Steven's going to go first. Yep.
I am going to take. Have I taken him? I don't think so. I don't think I would have taken him. I'm going to take Cam Young.
Pretty much anybody in this field, it's like, yeah, I probably didn't take him.
Gotta see here. Am I up next?
Mm-hmm.
He's taken. He's been taken. God damn, I got to do a better job at organizing. Morikawa's been taken already.
Griffin's got to be a big one and done for everyone, like in
yeah.
all throughout, right? And for one and dones this week.
I'm gonna go Rio.
Jesus. Rio.
I do like Rio. I think Rio. There's a couple names that have a couple other names that we haven't talked about this week that in weak fields this year, like Rio, Rickie Castillo, Salindas, guys that popped in these weak fields earlier in the year. I think there's a damn good chance one of those guys, 80-1 or higher, has a chance at winning this event.
Rio, first round leader, maybe.
There you go.
Rickie Castillo was 130-1 to win it. So
I'm gonna go Gracerman.
I wanted to, but I used him.
Sure, I didn't use him.
Third week of the year. So,
yeah,
I'm out on him. Gotcha. All right, betting card this week. I got a couple bets this week. I spread it a little out there. I went Ben Griffin because I'm not going to let Ben Griffin win and not have action on him. Cam Young, same thing. But then I went Taylor Moore 55-1, Davis Thompson 35-1, Rio and Victor Perez 80-1, and Max Homa 84-1.
I like the Perez bet.
Yeah, 80-1 for Victor Perez is a pretty big steal in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the Victor Perez. He's been pretty solid in these fields. I got Cantlay 16-1, Griffin 22-1, Clanton 40-1, Fowler 40-1, Taylor Moore 55-1, and Yeager is my my makeup for Spieth, my repayment from Spieth last week 70-1, and then I have Jake Knapp 80-1 first round leader.
Ooh, I like it. So I'm gonna go. I have Cam Young 28-1. I have Gracerman 33-1. Taylor Moore 55-1. Noren 60-1, and Kirk 80-1. And I also just got so that's 5 bets. I got a free bet from Fanatics, so I decided to put $5 on EVR at 110.
I might have to check my Fanatics. I wonder if I got any free bets sitting there.
I love how
Taylor Moore's at 75-1 now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
I'm so pissed. Yeah. Phil's going to be like, hey, I'm going to go hop on Taylor Moore.
I mean, well, I already got a Taylor Moore bet, but yeah. Anyway. Go ahead. What? Sorry. Lost there. Anyway, guys, Rocket Mortgage, the Rocket Classic from the Detroit Golf Club. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I mean, this was a quick episode, quick and short and to the point, but when you're talking the Rocket Classic, there isn't a whole hell of a lot to talk about. But this is what we do. It is also the NBA draft, so we always like to throw something else in there. Jason, Steven, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. Maybe you guys do. But I've got this feeling that this is going to be not as bad as, but pretty close to the John Wall, Evan Turner draft, where there is actually, including Cooper Flagg, not a franchise-changing player in the NBA. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, because Cooper Flagg is not, he's a number one on the Washington Wizards, right? He's not going to be a number one in Dallas. Once Kyrie comes back from being healthy, he's going to be the number one. And then you're going to have Anthony Davis there, who's going to be the 1A or the 1B. So these are a bunch of number twos. They're not going to be, unless all you need is a glue piece, then maybe that can be your franchise altering player. But I'm with you. I don't see much in this, and I hope the Sixers trade out of the third.
Jason, I mean, Detroit being a good team, you don't even have a lottery pick this year. I mean, you don't even know what to do with that.
I know. I don't think we were.
Last time you didn't have a lottery pick.
It's been a while. We picked in the top 7 for the past 12 years. No, we're in the Giannis sweepstakes right now. So we're
oh, really?
We're doing anything we can to
Really?
get Giannis at the moment right now. To kind of go off your point though with Cooper Flagg, it's is that actually a better situation for him to go to a team like Dallas? That's already they're not a bad team. They were just all injured last year. It's he might be better off being the number 3 for 2 years or 3 years and then turning into the number 1. That might be a good landing spot.
I just don't see Cooper Flagg being a guy that can carry a franchise.
Right.
And if he goes to he's going to the number 1 overall pick, but going to one of those other teams, he wouldn't be able to be the guy. And I just think that, I don't know, I think he's going to go to a good place there. But again, you're the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. You're expected to be able to be capable of being the guy, and I just don't know if he ever has that.
What do the Sixers do?
I think there's a lot of great role players, but I don't think there's going to be a single solitary stud in this NBA draft.
What do the Sixers do?
They're probably going to take Ace Bailey at number 3, even though he bailed on the appointment to come visit us.
Well, he bailed on all the appointments, so he didn't go and visit any teams, did he? So he's an asshole. We know this.
He went to a few teams.
He wants to go to the Wizards.
Every team that he went to had a promise that they would draft him, which is weird. Why would you need a promise from 4 different teams that they're going to draft you?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up right there, guys. Next week's episode, we are going to have to be time TBD. I'm going to be on vacation down the Outer Banks. Not sure what time we're going to be able to make it there, but we'll do our best to get the episode out on Tuesday next week. It just might not be at 6 o'clock. Might be a little later. Might be a little earlier. We'll have to play around with that, guys. But, guys, again, as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button and share button. And, of course, if you have any questions, we check all replay content. So if you drop a question in the replays, we'll answer it. We'll do our best. But, for Jason Sullivan, for Steven Fuentes, I'm Phil Stifel. Everybody have a great week. Stay cool if you're in any of those hot zones like we are in Philadelphia. Everybody have a great week, guys. Bubbles up.